Hello friends, so today's video is going to be the BOOKTUBE giving tag. This is a tag that I created years ago where every single question has the word give in it, and it's not only to celebrate the season of giving, but also to bring attention to charity. This particular year, I wanted to try and spotlight a group that is trying to provide food for people in need. They have an entire wish list of items that they are looking to the community to help provide them with, and they have a certain number. If you check out the link, then you can see how much of every single item they are hoping to get. And as of right now, or at least when I checked, the number has not been met for basically any single item. So I was hoping in mentioning it here on my channel that we could work together and try and support this really good cause and help them out with this, right? So I'll have that wish list in the description bar down below. If you have the financial means to try and buy some of the food items or just items in general that are on this list, please, that would be so wonderful. If you're a fellow booktuber who has your own channel or a bookstagram or anybody who has some kind of bookish internet presence, if you could do this tag, that would be great, just to help raise awareness again. If you do end up making your own video, please tag me on Instagram and I will reshare it, and I'll make sure to provide the link to your video as well so that people can go to your channel and check that out. The more eyes on this, the better. And whether you can financially support this or not, it would just be super helpful to share it in general. You don't even have to share the video. If you can just share the link to the wish list for all of the food items that they are looking to get, that would be incredibly helpful also. All of that said, we also want to have some fun and talk about some bookish stuff. So I'll jump into the questions. If you are a booktuber, consider yourself tagged. I'm not going to tag anyone individually. I just want everybody to do this tag, so do it, please. That'd be great. But anyway, jumping into the tag questions. The first one says, what is a book you would give everyone if you could? I'm going to try to mostly stick to newer answers. Every year, I'm always like, I would want to give people whatever books they want. And then I have to try to think of an actual book that I would want to give everybody. Also, this particular year, I read a memoir called Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which is a very heavy book. It's about a sexual assault survivor and somebody whose case was made very public, though her identity was kept private up until essentially she wrote this memoir and kind of told her side of things. So it not only goes into what it was like trying to heal from this traumatic thing, but also what it was like to have people, the way that people viewed her or the assumptions people made about her, and what it was like having her situation and her story told by everyone else but herself. It's very, very, very heavy, but I think it's a very important read. The next question is, what's a book you couldn't give a rat's hiney about? So if you don't know, there's a phrase that people say where they say, like, I don't give a rat's, and then but I don't curse on my channel, so you can fill in the blank. But anyway, so basically, what's a book you couldn't care less about? And every now and then, I don't do it too often, but I have done a couple of videos before about unanticipated releases, which the point of those is to bring awareness to books that I'm likely not going to be talking about because I'm not all that interested in them, but maybe you would be. And if I were to make one of those videos right now, I would probably have Jade Legacy on that. I completely understand why so many people love Jade City. I mean, there's so many aspects to it that I think are amazing and awesome. I didn't love the characters, which kind of hindered my enjoyment. But obviously I didn't love the first one, and the third one in the trilogy is coming out soon, and I didn't love the first one. I'm not going to pick up the second, so I'm definitely not, looking to pick up the third one. The next one is, given that the holidays are coming up, what is a book that you are hoping someone purchases for you? So my friends and husband have informed me that I'm a little bit difficult to buy books for because if I see a book that I want, I usually am going to grab it or I'm going to pre-order books, things like that. But one book that I've, my husband and being like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, Witcher Illustrated Edition. That's what I want. I want the Witcher Illustrated Edition because I love Witcher, and I so hope that they actually release all of it in illustrated editions, but that would be my answer. The next one is, what's a book or series you've given up on? I could make a whole video about series that I'm not going to continue on with. Obviously, I could use, the Greenbone Saga again for this answer, the Jade City. But I think I'm going to go with Malice. This is a series that I started this year, and I read the first one, and I actually did start the second one. And once again, similar to Jade City, I can see why so many people really enjoy it. But it just didn't end up being for me. I do have a full book review for that one and some reading vlogs if you're interested in knowing more about why. It's kind of a story that plays off of classic fantasy tropes, but with the author's particular flair to it. And I think it goes a little bit more in depth into these sorts of characters that you would find within these traditional tropes. But I tried the second one, and I immediately found myself not only not necessarily falling in love with that second book, but almost retroactively being frustrated at the first one. So that's a series that I read the first one of, I started the second one, but ultimately was like, I don't think this is the series for me. The next question is, who is a character that you wish an author would give more time to? So because I mentioned Jade City before, one thing that I was really hoping, it was kind of a misunderstanding I think that I had about that story. I thought we were going to see the rival gangs. It's a crime family, and we follow the members of this particular crime family, but their sort of antagonist is another person from another crime family, I'll call it. And the person in charge of that gang seemed so interesting to me, and I really wanted to get their perspective on things, and we didn't, and I wanted it so bad. So I would say that character. I wish we had more of that character from the other gang. I'll add also, when I read the book Ninth House, I really was intrigued by the character Darlington. I think that's what they call him. I found that character to be really fascinating. You only see him in certain parts of the book for a very specific reason that I don't want to say because I don't want to give away spoilers, but I really liked that character, what little we got of them, and my enjoyment of the book might have been increased if we had gotten more of him. I really liked his character. The next one is essentially the opposite. Who's a character you wish an author would give less time to? So I recently made a video all about characters that I hate, some of which, by hating them, it enhanced my enjoyment of the series because I loved hating those characters. And there are some characters that I didn't love hating. I think I'm supposed to, generally speaking, root for them, but I don't. And I'm gonna say Tao. So in the book Rage of Dragons, which is a revenge story, Tao is our main character, and every now and then you see perspectives of other characters. And I understand why it wasn't like we were getting a bunch of the other perspectives. I think that can be a very daunting thing for a lot of readers to get too many. But I think there was another character. There's a female character in particular, and I really wish we had followed her more because I think that she would have given us a lot of insight into the magic in the world. And the things that you would hear about whenever she would kind of come back into the story, I'm always like, man, I wish I was following you right now. And also, there's a lot of people like this about the story. There's a lot of action sequences and a lot of grinding, we'll say. There's a lot of leveling up on the main character's part, which a little bit for me, I think, could have been broken up by having this other perspective I mentioned in there. So I guess I wish we had less of Tao and then more of that person. I know I could have said the same thing for the characters in Jade City. Like, I wish we had less time with those characters and more time with the enemy. But in this one in particular, because I didn't like Tao so much, I would have really liked less of him. Number 7 and 8, they kind of touch on similar things, so I'm going to lump these two together. Question 7 is, if you had to give up almost all of your books, which ones would you keep? And then the next one is, what's the best book or bookish thing you've ever been given? So obviously my answer to question 8 can also apply to question 7. So I'm going to answer that one first and just kind of establish that it could be for both, but I'm going to say something different for 7. So for 8, what's the best thing you've been given? I was given an arc of Rhythm of War. It's dedicated to me, and it has a really wonderful phrase from that story, and it meant a lot. I got it. I mean, I love that series, but I also got that shortly after my father had passed away, and the particular quote it was just very relevant, I think. It's one of those things where when you're reading it, it's a great quote, but I don't know, there was something about having it taken out, and then I know it wasn't like, I know who you are and everything you've gone through, and so here's a quote to kind of help you through it. I know it wasn't that situation. It wasn't that dedicated to me. It just has my name and then the quote. But I don't know, seeing it combined like that, it meant a lot. And then as far as which books would I keep, this is where it makes me sound, I don't know, like my books don't mean a lot to me, but honestly, probably the most expensive ones, the ones that are really hard to get your hands on, because those are going to be the hardest to replace. Obviously, if I had to give them all up for whatever reason, and then I had the opportunity to repurchase books in the future, I'm going to want to not have to try to repurchase the ones that were really hard to get. For example, the Fairy Loot Red Risings or my Polish Mistborn editions. Those are not the easiest, you know? So those ones. Question 9, I'm not going to give a specific answer, but it's, what's a book that you wish you could give right back that someone gave to you? And I have been sometimes given books that I already own, and for obvious reasons, that makes me feel really bad because I don't want to be like, I already have this and make that person feel bad. Question number 10, I'm going to give a really cheesy answer. But question number 10 is, name a time in a book that a character was given something really meaningful. The memoir Educated by Tara Westover, obviously because it's a memoir and we're talking about nonfiction. And my cheesy answer is that she was given an opportunity. And I know that's the cheesiest answer, and it's not a thing, it's not an item, but this woman's life growing up was so challenging, and the things that she was able to overcome. And I don't know how different her life would have been if she'd not been given the opportunity to get an education. So her family very much believed that everything involved with the government is bad and evil, and so she didn't get to go to school growing up. She was able to get a higher education because they did have the opportunity where if you could get high enough test scores, then you could get into the school. And she had an older brother who encouraged her to study when she could, and she did, and she managed to get into this university, and it was because of that opportunity that she was able to do what she ends up accomplishing, which is amazing. It's a really powerful memoir. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it or heard of it or read it yourselves, but I just imagine like how different her life would have been if she had not been given that opportunity simply because she didn't technically go to school growing up. That's it for the BookTube giving tag. I will have the questions down below if you are interested in doing this tag yourself, as well as, of course, all the relevant links that you need to help out with this organization. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.